the frontrunners striking back in the Empire State. That sounds like a movie.
Yeah.
Donald Trump and Hillary Clinton bouncing back from their previous struggles of late and winning big on their home turf in New York. Clinton beat rival Bernie Sanders by better than expected 15 points. And on the Republican side, Donald Trump crushed the competition, beating his nearest rival, Governor John Kasich, by 35 points. Senator Ted Cruz, a distant third. Despite the victory, though, Trump is again railing against what he calls a rigged nomination system. He argued that he should get the nod if he comes into the convention with the most delegates. Watch.
Nobody should take delegates and claim victory unless they get those delegates with voters and voting. And that's what's going to happen. And you watch, because the people aren't going to stand for it. It's a crooked system. It's a system that's rigged. And we're going to go back to the old way. It's called you vote and you win.
But Ted Cruz went after Trump for whining about the process, as he put it, accusing his campaign of having no idea what it's doing.
The actual delegates that go to Cleveland are elected by the people. And if you want to elect delegates, your supporters come and vote. Every other presidential candidate knows how to figure this out. And by the way, every presidential candidate has known how to figure this out in every prior cycle. The Donald Trump campaign doesn't know what they're doing. It's a Kim Kardashian reality show.
Well, one thing that they're doing, Charlie, is winning. So what do you think his point is exactly?
Well, I mean, this is kind of a tough argument for Ted Cruz to be making, because most people out there do think that it's you know, that you win with votes, and you know, people already, and this is what you know, Donald Trump has tapped into from the very beginning. People are very frustrated. They're not happy. They feel like the system is broken. They particularly feel like the government is broken. And so when you try to make this argument about delegates and superdelegates and unbound and all this kind of stuff, it's not a very strong argument to be making in an election like this.
You know what? I want to throw up some numbers on the screen and talk about the fact that I doubt that many Americans have ever really concentrated this hard on how the whole delegate system
Especially
works.
not this late in the game.
Right? Okay.
Now we all know.
Fox News New York GOP exit poll last night showed that New York Republicans want the decision to be made by votes. They think that the person who has the most votes, 68% of them say that should be the person who gets the nod, the nomination, rather than how many delegates they have. What are your thoughts on this?
Well, this is what's going to be debated, and you're going to continue to hear this from Donald Trump. And Ted Cruz's camp is going to easily make the argument that this was Donald Trump's home state. He shouldn't be running if he can't win his own state. My, what a difference a state makes. Because after Wisconsin, we were all talking about the momentum behind Ted Cruz. And here we have this victory in New York, a landslide victory on Donald Trump's case. And now we're all saying that it's a lock for Donald Trump. I'm just curious, Charlie, what did that much happen between Wisconsin and now that we're now saying Ted Cruz is gone? Obviously, delegate count matters.
Yeah, well, and by no means is Ted Cruz entirely out of this, I don't think. But, you know, his argument that, well, you know, Donald Trump should have won because it's his home state. Donald Trump did a lot better here in his home state than Ted Cruz did in Texas. Ted Cruz won Texas by 44%. Donald Trump got 27% of the vote, and also picked up a bunch of delegates. And for a guy like Ted Cruz, who's running a campaign on, you know, on the argument that, look, I know how to wrangle these delegates and that we got to go by the rules and all this kind of stuff. He didn't pick up a single delegate last night. That's kind of a, that's a pretty
It's an interesting point you make, because I saw on social media how people were saying, well, Ted Cruz took 104 delegates. Yeah, but there were 156 up for grabs, which is how you got the percentages. Julie?
Well, on the other hand, and I can't believe I'm defending Ted Cruz on this.
Oh, this will be interesting.
But Ted Cruz won Texas with over 1 million votes. I think it's 1.1 or 1.2 million. Donald Trump won New York with about 500,000. So if you're Ted Cruz, you're saying it's nice that you won the 5 Republicans who live in New York City.
I know.
You also lost Manhattan, which for a boy from Queens who may try to make good in Manhattan has got to be super galling for Donald Trump. But, you know, in places where Republicans actually vote, like Texas, Ted Cruz cleaned up by over 1 million votes. You know, I have to say, for Donald Trump to now come back, and Bernie Sanders is doing this on the Democratic side too, and to me it's so annoying. You know what the rules are, or you should have known what the rules are. And, you know, his staff is incredibly incompetent. Were they competent, they would have done what Ted Cruz is doing, which is going delegate by delegate and saying, if there's an unbound delegate after the first vote, be with me, even if you're a Trump-committed delegate right now. Trump isn't doing that, and so
Well, he hasn't been. We don't know what he'll do forward.
Well, I don't know what Paul Manafort is doing, but it's a little late. A little
put
late
together
in the game.
a team that can possibly do that. I want you to watch something with me and then comment. It has to do with the tone, and not just the tone, but how people got titles last night when Donald Trump talked about them. Watch.
Based on what I'm seeing on television, Senator Cruz is just about mathematically eliminated. And we've won another state. As you know, we have won millions of more votes than Senator Cruz, millions and millions of more votes than Governor Kasich. We've won, and now, especially after tonight, close to 300 delegates more than Senator Cruz.
Senator Cruz 3 times in 32 seconds. No Lion Ted, zero zilch.
I think Donald Trump realizes that if he's going to be the nominee, at some point he's going to have to start uniting the party. Right now, 60% of Republicans think this race has divided us. And if he really wants to be the nominee and be our leader, he knows he's going to have to start uniting people. I actually agree with what you just said, Julie, that at a certain point we have to stop treating this election like it's the Roswell landing, like there's just a conspiracy everywhere on both sides. If the, quote, establishment had this much power, then Jeb Bush would be the nominee right now. And I think that rhetoric also plays into something that people like me are like, really, at this point, if you're going to be the nominee, you're going to be the leader, get rid of